Meeting people is never an accident. Someone cannot walk in and out of your life without reason. Lessons and the growth that you experience are never spontaneous. It is always meant to be. There is a higher purpose, an end beyond you and I, which we will never know until we reach it. So I want you to stop treating your experiences as casual occurrences that just happened and start looking for a deeper meaning, an end or goal. Something that helps you flourish, that teaches you the important lessons that only people and their existence can give you. Think about it, in a world consisting of 7.442 billion people, each capable of teaching you something, why did your path cross with this person? Because you needed a particular lesson at this point in your life. Think about it deeply. Only then will you stop treating your growth as an accident and start appreciating it as a beautiful journey meant just for you. Ruby Doll. Hello my beautiful friends and welcome back. So as I'm sure a lot of you guys are aware, I went through a breakup last October, and since I went through that breakup, nearly every single day I have received a message on some form of social media asking, how have you picked yourself back up? How have you done it? How have you made it? How have you come out the other side? What are your tips? I feel like I'm sinking, I'm drowning, I don't know what to do. Please help. So many breakups seem to be happening lately and in the last year, and I don't know if the whole circumstance of the world has made a lot of people really reevaluate what they want. Look, there's absolutely no denying it. Breakups are fucking hard, and they are one of the hardest things that we as humans will go through in life. They are so painful, and everyone's experience is going to be so different to the next person. Like, you cannot compare your relationship to the next person, just like you cannot compare your breakup to the next person. Your healing process and someone else's healing process are going to look completely different. That is one of the most important things before we get into this video, is that however you deal with it, however you handle it, is completely okay. I've gone through 3 proper breakups, I would say. You could say a little bit more, but we're going to stick with 3. So I feel like I have a lot of knowledge on this subject, and also my most recent breakup is the quickest I've ever processed, accepted and moved on after a breakup. So I feel like I definitely have learned a lot over the years, and I feel like my healing process and my accepting process this time around, it was just a lot easier, I feel. And not because the breakup was any easier, because it was the hardest breakup I've ever gone through. The most disrespect, gaslighting, manipulation, you know, just a lot of mistreatment went on. So it wasn't a healthy relationship, so let's just put that out there. I often as well personally feel like healthy relationships are going to be a little bit easier to get over than toxic or not so healthy relationships, because often the toxic or non-healthy relationships will leave scars on you, and they will leave marks on you. So often you've got to work on them scars and work on them wounds, as well as the, you know, other stuff of healing after a breakup. But I personally feel like the reason why I processed and accepted this breakup so well was solely down to my mindset. It was all down to my mindset and how I perceived everything that was happening around me and also to me. I had also uprooted my whole life to Dublin and gone to live in Dublin with my ex-partner, so you know, it wasn't just the change of going through a breakup, but there was a lot of change happening in my life, as does happen with most people when going through a breakup. You know, you're not often just dealing with the loss of this person, you're often dealing with the loss of a lot of other things around you, and also the loss of your future and the loss of everything you had hoped for, all these expectations that, you know, you had. And that is often where a lot of the hurt does come after a breakup. Is a lot of it is coming from your hopes and your plans from the future. You know, you've not just lost the person, but you've also lost the future you guys had built together. So now you feel like you're back at square one, you've got to start from scratch. Everything you thought you had and were working towards has now been swept from under your feet. So there is so much going on there to try and deal with, like, in one sitting, and I feel like we often don't give ourselves the time and the patience we really truly need after a breakup to go through all the stages, because as you know, they say that there are 5 main stages of grief or after a breakup, could you say. I'd say that there's more so 7 stages, and I'm going to go through them with you guys, and I'm also then going to talk a little bit about what I did during each stage and what I feel like is the best way to kind of handle each stage, coming from somebody who knows their fair shit on a breakup. Before we dive right on into fixing our broken hearts, I would just like to thank Fabletics for sponsoring today's video. I cannot express how much I truly enjoy and adore being a brand ambassador for them. They are genuinely the most women empowering brand I've ever come across, and it's just a pleasure to get to work with them. And also thought it would be quite fitting for today's video because they are super empowering for us women, and that's what we need a lot of when we are going through a breakup. You know, we need people around us who are going to support us and empower us and bring us up, you know, because through a breakup our emotions are all over the place and we are not in a rational headspace, a rational mind. We are in a very emotional mindset. So yeah, thank you Fabletics. I'm going to show you guys some of the pieces I picked up this month. I am absolutely obsessed with Vanessa May's new little launch. Her collection came out and it is an exclusive collection, so the items from her collection are limited, so if you are interested I would recommend you pick them up. But I'm so excited for spring colours, so excited. Fabletics literally do spring colours the absolute best, like the brightest, boldest patterns, colours, you name it, designs, like they have it all, and I'm just so excited to see what they're going to bring out. They actually have a really interesting offer on just for the month of March, so new VIPs, so if you have never signed up to the VIP membership, new VIPs can now redeem 2 offers at the checkout at the same time, which is absolutely insane. Like, how sick is that? I have never came across a brand that lets you redeem more than 1 offer at a time. Like, you've always got to pick between the offers. Like, if there's a few offers on the go, you've got to be like, okay, which one am I going to get the most benefit out of? But you can actually, this month only, get 50% off all single items and also 2 leggings for £24. So you can redeem them 2 offers at the same time. That is an insane amount of savings, an insane amount of coin that can go into your piggy bank for a rainy day, and still get some cute pieces while you're at it. So I will leave the link down in my description box if you are interested in treating yourself, maybe a little bit of a pick-me-up. One of you guys commented recently saying your size is never available in the items you want on Fabletics, and with that my best advice is to always check their website every Thursday. Oh my god, rude. Check their website every Thursday because they launch new outfits on a Thursday, so your best bet to get your sizes as soon as it's launched and it's just been added. Okay, so the first thing that I feel like really helped me after my breakup is to understand what's going on, because if you don't understand what's going on inside your body, inside your head, with your emotions, with everything, it's going to make the whole process so much harder. Functional brain scans have shown that love is a form of addiction. We get used to having a certain substance, and this substance is the person and is the relationship, and when this substance is just taken away from us all of a sudden, our brain is going to start going through withdrawal, the same way a drug addict's brain is going to start going through withdrawal. Because when we are in love, we are getting an overwhelming amount of dopamine being released into our brain, and when that is taken away from us, that dopamine hit we're constantly getting is also taken away from us. And you're going to be getting this dopamine hit even if, you know, if it's a case of you guys are always fighting and making up, every time you make up you're getting this huge rush of dopamine, and that's what's making you feel so good. And then on top of that, you've made compromises and future plans, and you know, all of this isn't as easy to let go of as it is to just download a dating app and swiping left or right, or to just sit in your bed for one night and eat a tub of ice cream like the internet tells you to do. You know, that's what you're told to do on the internet. You know, have a night, cry it out, and then don't cry anymore, and go out with your friends and have some drinks. You know, it's just absolute bullshit. Another thing that I've seen a lot of people talk about lately is, you know, obviously I went through a breakup during lockdown. Everyone now going through breakups are during lockdown, and I've seen people say that it's much harder through lockdown. And in one sense of the word, you could say it is much harder, but I actually kind of looked at it in the other sense, and I actually think it's a lot easier in ways, because if the world was just open, right, and you were going through a breakup, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to run to distract yourself. You're going to run to go out with your friends, run to go to the club, run to maybe go on a date, run to do this, run to do that. You're not facing your emotions. You're not facing how you're feeling. You're burying it down, like you're putting a load of dirt on over your feelings, but eventually rain will come, melt that dirt, and you know, you're going to have to face your feelings at some point or another. So I personally feel like lockdown is going to make you go through these breakup stages a lot quicker and process it quicker, because it's much harder for you to distract yourself in the way you would if we weren't in a pandemic, and therefore you're going to have to face up to the real shit, the hard shit that's not so easy to face up to. But when you face up to that shit, that's when you can get out the other side, and you will get out the other side of this. You know, you can go from this to this. Like, I am in such a good place now, and I promise you, you will get there too. And I just want to give you the biggest fucking hug, because I know this sucks right now. I know you're in pain. I know your heart hurts. I know you feel like no one's going to love you again. You're never going to love anyone again. But I promise you, that is not the truth. It's not the truth. Okay, so oh my god, my heart, I have so much to say, man. Nearly everyone after a breakup is going to go through 7 stages. You might not even be aware of these stages. You might be aware, 2 of them might mush into one, but you are going to go through these stages, whether it's in 1 week, a month, or a year. That is completely going to vary from person to person, because everyone's situation was so different, as I said. And then you've got people who might be going through some of these stages while they're actually still in the relationship, and I definitely went through some of these stages while I was still in my relationship. So we've got number 1, shock. Okay, so our second step is going to be denial. Our third step is going to be madness. Our fourth step is going to be depression. Our fifth step is going to be acceptance. Our sixth step is going to be letting go. And our last step, and the one you can get to, is moving on. Okay? Something that really helped me when I was going through my breakup was recognizing what stage I was in. Because as I was saying earlier, if you can recognize what stage you're in, you're gonna be best able to maneuver what you need to do while you're in that stage. For example, what I did in stage 6 is not what you're not even going to be able to do that in stage 1. So that's what I mean by having an understanding about what's going on in our brain and our bodies is really going to help you navigate this healing process, and is going to help you come out the other side a lot quicker, because I have seen that from experience in the past. In the past, through a breakup, when I've not, had an understanding of what's going on, I've been all over the place. I've been going from stage 1 to 6 back to 1, because I'm not actually processing it how I need to. So shock is going to happen as soon as the breakup happens, as soon as you have the talk, or you move out, or someone moves out, or whatever it might be. It's when you have an idea about what has just happened, but you have no idea about the impact it has on you, or is going to have on you yet. You'll know you're in the denial stage if you're constantly waiting for a text or a call from them, if you're constantly checking their social medias or when they were last online, if you're constantly thinking back to happy memories you guys had, and only the happy memories, and you're not even able to think of anything else. If all you can see is that this person was just so amazing, and we're meant to be together, and if you can only see good. During this phase, we've got our rose tinted glasses on completely, and we won't be able to see any of the red flags there were throughout the relationship. We won't even be able to see that there were indicators there down the road that things weren't going so well, or that we weren't that compatible. We won't be able to see any of this. We'll be in the mindset of, how could such a wonderful relationship end? Even if we were screaming at each other 6 out of the 7 days of the week, you won't be able to think of that. During the denial stage, I personally think that the best thing you can do, and something that I did, is you need to write a list. You need to write a fat ass list on your phone, somewhere where you can go and look at it anytime your rose tinted glasses are falling back on your head. And you need to write out all the shit that broke you, all the shit that hurt you, all the shit they did where in return you were disrespecting yourself. All the bad shit, any fights you had, any, names you were called, just anything that ever hurt you, any night where you lay in your bed crying awake, anything. Write it all down. Details, as much detail as you can. And, once you start doing this, you will maybe be very surprised at how long that bloody list is. So I'd write your list of everything that hurt you, and then I would also write a list of the pros. And when I did this list, I could not believe how little pros there were and how many cons there were. And I feel like doing this list will really show you the compatibility of you guys. And often, because love is a drug and you are blinded by love, it can be fucking hard to see clearly, and that's why it can be so great to get other people's opinions from the the outside, because they're not blinded by the dopamine. They're not getting this rush, this hit of a drug to their brain, so they can actually see things for what they are. You know, they can see that you guys aren't compatible. They can see all this thing because they're seeing the facts of things, and that's what you need to try to do, I'd say, at this stage. As hard as it is, sit down and really try and take yourself out of it. Like, try and remove yourself and imagine you were like your mom or your friend looking at it, and take all that shit and write it down. And anytime you're having these, you know, thoughts where you're wanting to maybe express your love to them, or, you know, you're just thinking back to all the happy moments, this is when you need to go and look at your list, okay? I cannot tell you how helpful I found doing this, because what it will do is it'll put you back in your box. It will bring you back into reality, because another thing is that we're often in love with someone's potential. We're not in love with their reality. So the idea here is, when you're in denial stage, you're thinking of their potential, you know, what could be, the ifs, buts and whys, but you need to bring yourself back to reality. And that's what this list is going to do, because as soon as you're having these thoughts, you're going to read this list, your moments of these memories are going to flash before your eyes, and you're going to start to remember the reality of the relationship and the reality of who that person actually is. So after the denial phase, we're going to enter into the mad phase. I don't really like the name of that, but that's what I got online, okay, so just roll with it. So once we feel like we can no longer deny what's after happening, reality basically hits us, and we get flooded with emotions, an array of emotions. This is the point where you're going to feel like you've lost your power. This is the point where, you know, you feel like you need closure, and you need to understand the breakup and why it happened, and, you know, you might feel like you need to have a conversation with them, or you might be pleading with them to get back, or, you know, you're just going to be acting very irrationally at this point. I feel like this is very important, because closure is something that a lot of people yearn for after a breakup, and closure doesn't fucking exist, and that's just the simple matter of the fact. Your ex cannot give you closure. The only person who can give you closure is yourself. Do you know what I mean? And that's the God's honest truth. Us wanting closure is often us not accepting the breakup, is basically it, because closure is often people hoping that maybe they'll change their mind, or maybe if we talk things out they might understand that we're meant to be together, or, you know, maybe if I tell them that these things are never going to happen again. The best thing to do during this stage, I think, is to connect with others. If you're feeling like you really need closure, you need to reach out to other people and speak to them about their breakup. Now, this is something that I did. I didn't get closure. I don't need closure, honey, because I gave myself closure, and you can give yourself closure as well. And I feel like this is where you need to reach out, because if you're feeling that yearning, you need to reach out, because, you know, this person is not the answer to your problems as you feel like they are right now. This person is the reason of your fucking problems. You know, not this person, but yous two together. Yous aren't compatible. Yous weren't working. Yous weren't a match, you know. If yous were a match and yous were compatible, you wouldn't be in this place. You wouldn't have all this disappointment and expectations let down and hurt and pain. Like, you wouldn't. Like, yous were not meant to be together. So the best thing to do here is to reach out to other people and ask them about their past relationships, their breakups, how they got through it, how they felt, and as much detail as you can possibly get, whether that's friends, your mom, your sister, your cousins, whatever it may be. I personally spoke to a couple of my cousins after my breakup, and I found it so helpful just listening to, you know, their experience of their breakup, and, you know, how they got through it and their process, because everyone's is going to be so different. But you can, by connecting with other people, it will help you feel a lot more capable. It will help you feel like, if they did it, I can. What makes me any different to them? Absolutely nothing, you know. Or you might even hear someone who had a worse situation, and you might then be able to change your mindset and be like, well, it could be a lot worse. They got through that and it was so much more worse. I can get through this, you know, I'm capable. Or you might even get little tips, or something might just ring a bell and kind of make you go, what the fuck? What was I even accepting? Like, how was I not able to see what was going on? Something else that can be really helpful here is to having one or two people that you can go to who will remind you of why you guys broke up. So they'll remind you of the bad shit. They'll, you know, list out all the ways you were treated, or, you know, anything that ever hurt you. And that can also be really helpful as well, because sometimes when you're in that phase, you know, the rose tinted glasses might be coming in and out. You know, you can struggle to remember, why am I in this place? And then sometimes just having someone reiterate that to you can really help. So now we're going to enter into the depression phase, and this is when you're going to be like, how can this be over? How are they going on living without me? How are they so okay? So many questions and so little answers. So you'll know you're in this phase if you feel like you're never going to be happy again, if you don't feel lovable, if you feel abandoned, if you feel like, you know, you just want to lie in bed all day, or you just want to sleep all day, or if you've just lost interest in things that you were maybe really interested in previously. If you're just having difficulties performing your day-to-day tasks, or if you're feeling helpless, you'll know that you're in this phase. Again, this phase is going to differ for everyone, the length of time, but understanding it, I feel, will really shorten each phase, because you're going to have the patience with yourself, and you're going to have, you know, the patience that it's going to take a bit of time. It's going to feel like you're on a roller coaster of emotions at this point. One minute you might be happy, the next minute you might be on the floor crying, you know. One minute you might be like, they're a fucking arsehole, the next minute you might be like, I want them back, you know. It's going to be like all over the place. But if you are in this phase, even if it doesn't feel like it, this is actually a really good sign, because it means that you're leaving all the other phases behind, and like each step, you know, is a step towards you getting to the last stage, and that's you moving on and accepting and processing all of this and coming to terms with it and actually being okay and coming out the other side a better fucking bitch than you ever were, and stronger in yourself. Because, right, for me, right, my breakups have been some of the most painful experiences I've ever gone through, but they have also been some of the most insightful, positive experiences in my life, because they have taught me so much about myself and really brought me on a journey of personal growth in a way that I don't think I ever would have been brought on without them relationships. Because, you know, one single problem will teach you more than 100 of your successes will. Do you know what I mean? And you being able to overcome this problem, come out the other side, and how you might have a few little scars or a few little battle wounds, but coming out the other side, you're going to be so much better off. So during the depression stage is when you can fall victim to obsessive thinking or really analysing situations. And during this phase is where it can go downhill if I feel like you're not aware of what's going on. So here you're going to start thinking of the what ifs, the if onlys, the whys, how. You're going to start not only thinking about the relationship and the person that is gone, but also, as I said earlier, the future plans, the compromises you made, everything you compromised to be with this person, and the whole shebang. You know, so your mind is starting to go into overdrive here, and this is when it can get quite dark. This is where the fear can creep in that you'll stay alone forever and no one will ever love you, and that you're just going to be alone forever, and you're going to feel this way forever. I don't know if you listened to the quote I opened the video with, but it basically talks about how there's 7.442 billion people in this world, each person capable of teaching you something. And you're telling me you just, you know, came across this person, you know, just it for no reason? Absolutely fucking not, right? This is what I was talking about when I said my mindset is what really helped me process and heal from this breakup so fast. And it's the way you look at things, right? We don't realise how powerful our minds are. We just don't, right? First of all, you've had a whole life before them. You're going to have a whole life after them. You're a whole person on your own. This person doesn't, you know, you are whole with or without this person. You have so much to offer. You have so much to give. You have so many amazing qualities. There are so many things that you have that people would only wish to possess, or things that people would love and would kill for in a partner. Something I did is, you know, I sat down with my notebook, right? And something I did a lot through my breakup was I did a lot of journaling. Like, write your feelings out. Don't text them. Please don't text them. Right, let it all out. Any thoughts you're having, just put it on the page, you know, and it can really help you make sense of them as well. And it also will show you how far you've come. You know, if you're journaling, you'll look back in a month's time and you'll be like, fuck, because you can forget how intense you were feeling, how low you were feeling. You can look back and you might even realise how far you come until you look back and see how fucking miserable, how low, how shit you were feeling, how, you felt like you never like meet anyone again, you might look back when you're in the happiest relationship you've ever been in and be like, wow, how did I think that was love? How did I think that was it, you know? And the other thing is, like, are you in love with the person or are you in love with the feeling? Because love is a drug. We can get addicted to the feeling. So you really, that's also so important, like in this phase, you know, to be writing this all out, like try and really make understanding of what is going on for you, you know? I've gone completely off track. Back to what I was saying about how many people there are in this world. I don't know what you believe, right? But I just don't believe we come here and then we die and that's it. I'm sorry, I don't, right? I'm not religious, but I am spiritual, and I don't know what there is, but there is so much more than us little specks of humans. I'm sorry, but I refuse to believe that people just coincidentally come into our lives. Bullshit. And this is what really helped me with processing it, is I was like, you know, people do come into our lives to either teach us a lesson or a blessing, you know. People are lessons or blessings, you know. So what has this person taught me? We can so easily fall victim to our mind. So we have two ways of looking at it. We can look at it as, you know, I've been treated like this and I've been treated so shit and no one's going to love me, I'm going to be alone forever, poor me, like, you know, what more can I do, like, oh, I'm such a shit human. Or we can look at it as, what can I take from this relationship to better me, myself as a person, and to also help better my relationships in the future? And I feel like if you really try and twist your mindset into looking at what you can take from this instead of looking at what it has taken from you, because we can often feel like, you know, when a breakup happens, that relationship has taken everything we have had to offer, and often it does. Like, you know, I felt like that, but we are in charge of our narrative and we have to take control of our narrative, and no one else can do that. So instead, looking at as, what can I take from this? Like, what has this person taught me? What did that relationship teach me? You know, what can I take into the future relationship? Like for me, right, an example would be that I learned that I cannot be with someone who's very shallow. I need to be with someone who has depth and who is able to express themselves and is, like, you know, really in touch with, like, just themselves, like as a person. Like, I need that really deep connection where it's not just a surface level, but it's actual depth. Does that make sense? And just say, that's just one little example, you know. And that is such a huge thing, because I'm never going to be compatible with somebody who's, like, you know, kind of love is shallow, because you know, that's their love and they're happy with giving and receiving that love, but that's not enough for me. So, you know, that means we're not compatible. So there I have learned something that I didn't know about myself, or I thought maybe I didn't know about myself, but I didn't know about myself, that I can now apply to other relationships. And, you know, so if you can take even, like, just say a list of 5-10 things that you've learned, there are 5-10 things that you're never going to have to learn again. So trying to flip it in that way, and this is what I did a lot of, I feel like, after my breakup, is turning a negative, a shit situation into a good one. Or for example, if you're thinking back to a time you were treated so badly and you let your ex-partner disrespect you and belittle you and put you down, instead of looking at it as, like, you know, oh, I'm such a shitty person that I'm just, you know, let people treat me like that and all this. Look at it as, I am so grateful that I am somebody who can see the best in somebody. I feel like how long we stay in the depression stage kind of depends on a few things. The first thing is whether you have cut contact with your ex or not. I feel like cutting contact with your ex is so important for healing and for moving on. Even if it was a healthy breakup, I really feel like you need a period of time with no contact. If you guys want to be friends in the future, that's fine, but I think you guys need time apart to process, heal and move on, and I just don't think you guys can do that while you're still in each other's lives. I've yet to come across somebody who has successfully done that. You know, maybe I'm wrong, but the second thing that's going to determine how long you're in the depression stage is how long you're overthinking and analysing things. And that's why I feel like what I explained to you about your mindset and twisting things can be so helpful, and why that helped me so much. And it's such a powerful thing to do. And even if it's something you need to do daily or whatever it is, please don't underestimate the power of that. The power we have, the power you have in yourself. And once we're able to do all of that, I feel like we then move into the next stage, which is acceptance. So once we get to the stage of acceptance, this is huge because it means we've accepted what's happened. We accepted that it's not going to go back to how it was, and a lot of the time at this point we don't want it to, because we've done a lot of our inner work, we've done our lists, we've seen what we can take from this relationship, what can we take with us. And normally when you've gotten to this point, if you've done all these, you know, the kind of work on yourself, and you've been patient with yourself, and you've given yourself the time you need, because you're grieving, you know, it's like a death. You're grieving a person. One day person here, next day person gone. It's like a death. You've got to grieve it, and it's going to take time, you know. So if you've done all that, normally when you get to your acceptance stage, you've kind of realised that actually the best thing is for us to not be together. Because when you're at the acceptance stage, you'll start to see the reality of it. You'll start to see your morals maybe didn't line up, or you compromised too much, you gave too much of yourself, or they took too much from you, or, you know, you weren't going in the same path for the future, you didn't have the same dreams and plans, and basically, you know, you see it for what it actually is at this point. And this is a huge accomplishment. Once you're at this step, you are on the other side out of it. I spoke earlier on distractions, and if we weren't in a pandemic, you'd have a lot more distractions, and they can be counterproductive if you are over distracting yourself. But distractions are great, you know, you need distractions during a breakup. A distraction I really threw myself into was, I basically focused on doing a little project of doing up my whole bedroom. So obviously my whole life was uprooted, I had to move home. So I was like, you know, I'm going to do this for me. You need a distraction that is just for you, like not for anyone else, you know. And I feel like I had a lot of passion around doing up my room, and that's what you need. You need something that's going to make you excited and make you feel alive and passionate, and whatever that might be, even if it's just a little bit of passion or a little bit of excitement, take that while you can, you know, while it's coming. So yeah, to focus on something that is just for you, and that is something that's going to help build up your confidence as well. Like, you know, actually you doing something and being able to see a finished outcome or a finished product, and that accomplishment you'll feel, you know. And kind of little distractions like that can be really helpful, because it'll show you that you're so capable of living on your own, and you're so capable of taking care of yourself and just living your life by yourself, you know. And that's something that I kind of did, like after my breakup initially, like day by day, take it day by day. You know, I feel like people way too often are like, oh my god, how am I going to be feeling in 2 months? Don't fucking worry about it. Are you, is it 2 months time? No, literally just take it day by day. Let yourself feel, let yourself react, but then also bring yourself back, you know, take your lists, take your mindset. If you're having that negative thought, try and shift it into that positive one. You know, some days are going to be harder than others, but you can do it. So now we're entering into the letting go phase, and in this phase you're no longer going to be thinking like, without him or her I can't. Now you're going to be thinking, I can and I will for me. You know, I can and I will do X, Y, and Z for me, because I want it for me, because I am just as deserving of love and care as anyone else is. I feel like stage 6 and 7 are kind of a little bit linked in together, so letting go and moving on. So sometimes it takes a breakup to shake us and make us see that we deserve so much more than we're settling for. And often, you know, in this phase, you know, we can be kind of going over things in our head, and you know, sometimes you can get a little bit angry at yourself for accepting a certain treatment or for allowing something. But I feel like in the letting go and moving on stage, it's so important through this phase that you forgive both yourself and your ex, and you let go of all that anger that you were harboring inside yourself, because you're never going to be able to move on and find, you know, someone you're compatible with, or you're never going to get that, you know, healthy, happy relationship if you don't let go of that. Because unless you let go of that anger and you forgive yourself, and maybe for any mistakes you made, for anything mistakes they made, if you don't do that and then learn from the relationship, so take stuff from the relationship, so really analyze the relationship where you need to learn, you know, how have you learned off them, things you can change to better yourself, maybe something you've done where you wouldn't do that again, whatever it is. If you don't learn from it, How can you grow from it? You cannot grow from it. And the only way we can take something so painful like a fucking breakup is to turn it into a positive. And that is by learning from it. You know? It's hard. And I know it's hard. But you need to trust within yourself. And also something that really helped me is just trusting in like the universe. Like trusting that everything is happening for me. It's not happening to me. This is happening for my greater good. This is happening so I can, you know, level up and become a better version of myself. This is happening so I can meet the love of my life. This is happening XYZ, you know. It's all to do with our bloody mind, and I cannot express that enough. Often when you go through a breakup, you do have to rediscover parts of yourself, and I know I did, you know. Something that I feel like I really buried down in my last relationship is how deeply I feel things. Like I feel things so deeply. I have a lot of emotions, and you know, I love that about myself, you know. I love it. But in my past relationship, I was constantly being told it was too much, and it was all this, and I was this, and I was that, and I was that. So that was a part of me I kind of started to bury, you know. And that's not love, man. You know, if you are compromising actual parts of who you are as a human and what makes you so unique and special, there's something wrong there, you know. And if you try and look at it, the breakup as, you know, it's not a breakdown, it's actually a new beginning. This is a new beginning. I basically get to recreate myself. I get to reinvent myself, you know. Sometimes we can feel like we're back to square one. Like, as I said, often as well, if a lot has happened at once, like, you know, if you were living with your partner and you had to move out, or maybe there's just so much going on, you can feel like you have nothing. But instead of looking at it like that, be like, this is a new beginning. Okay, how do I want things to be? How do I want my life to look? What do I want in my next relationship, my future relationship? Because I deserve all of that. I deserve all of that, and I am worthy of all of that. I am worthy of being loved. I am worthy of being with someone who adores me and appreciates me and cares for me and doesn't gaslight or manipulate me or abuse me. I deserve that. You know, I am worthy of that. You are fucking worthy of that. Just think about it, okay? 7.442 billion people. And you're telling me there's not someone out there for you who you're compatible with, who will make you happy and you'll make them happy, who will only add to your life and not take from it in, like, you know, a negative way. You know, are you telling me in all of them people there's not someone? There is. And that's why this person has been removed from your life, because yous were so toxic. Yous weren't working together. Yous were clashing. Yous weren't good for each other. Do you know what I mean? But there's someone out there who is good for you. And if you are in that stage where you're like, you know, but they were perfect, they were the person for me, they're the only person that I'll ever love. No, they weren't the person for you. I have been ranting here for the last 3 hours and I still don't think I've said everything I want to say. So if there's anything I didn't touch on or anything specific you would like me to talk about, please do leave a question down below, or else you can message me over on Instagram, because it's just a topic that I am really passionate about, because I know how fucking hard it can be. I really do, but I also know you can get out the other side. And from somebody who at times didn't think they'd make it but made it, you know, I want to help you in any way I possibly can. So if there's any questions or anything I missed, please let me know. But I just want to say, you've got this. I love you. You're fucking amazing. You know, you don't need him, you don't need her, you don't need them. You have everything you need inside yourself, and you're going to be just fine. I fucking promise you, my darling. Okay, thank you so much for watching. There will be a link down in my description box if you would like to check out Fabletics. Don't forget, amazing offer on for new VIPs this month. But yeah, thank you, my darlings. I love you all so very much, and I will see you all super duper soon.